Okay, so welcome back. At this point, I'll walk you through Module 3. I would estimate somewhere around 7 to 10 minutes, and you should be able to knock it out. Not too bad. I would show you. I copied the code when we do the calculated fields. I put it in a notepad. You don't have to do that, but I do that because I like to try to be efficient. So without further ado, let's begin. Okay. So I'll bring us over so you can kind of look at what we're doing here. I know you all have a copy of this, but what we're really going to do is hide some fields, the language keys. I'm going to use some sort functions to show you how to do that versus kind of searching for a needle in a haystack. Kind of gets a little bit difficult like that. And then we'll locate this product category code and then we'll hide it too. And after we get done with that, this is where I'll use the notepad to show you how that was completed. You can, obviously this is a screenshot. You can copy and paste. There's a little bit of some error in this, right? And remember, as I shared with you on Wednesday, we gotta have brackets. Anytime we do calculated fields, this right here will not work. One other thing else I'll bring to your attention, some of this is lowercase and some of it's uppercase. It doesn't really matter as far as syntax, if it's upper or lower. It's more the command. So if it's an uppercase if, that will work the same as a lowercase, okay? And basically an if else statement, the way it works is if this populate such value, otherwise populate an alternative value. We won't likely get into it with this course, but in other programming languages like R and Python, we have an if, then we have an elif. This is kind of extra bonus learning, right? So we do an if statement, then we do an elif, which means there's another alternative. You can have like 10 elifs, and then we can have an else, which is the very last thing. So it's not being complicated, but this is kind of more of a binary than anything. We start looking at if and then else. We'll do this geographic, which I showed you on Wednesday, and it's not in here, but kind of having some fun with it, right? Populating and we're cities and maps. So I'll walk you through that, and then I'll call this a kind of an adjournment. We'll go through building out the hierarchies, which is important too. So, all right, back to having some fun. All right, here we go. So to hide fields, one thing that I like to do is if we come over here and if we sort A to Z ascending, it's a little bit easier to locate those, right? So what we're looking for is the name. Or excuse me, language key. So we're right here, hide it. That takes care of one of them. Language key, hide it. And speaking of, one thing that we want to do so we can show that they're being hidden. Okay. Hide. And hide. So that takes care of all of the language keys. We've got 4 of them that are hidden, and I'll show you here in a little bit. And we got our product, right? It's the product category, I believe, that we're hiding. Product category code, right? And so we'll hide that one as well. So now that we have these 5 areas hidden, we can come back over here and resort our row by data source. So by data source, it's essentially talking about the order of our connections, okay? All right, so we've hidden the files, or the fields, as I shared with you on Wednesday. When we start talking about databases, a column is synonymous with a field, okay? So we've hidden those particular fields that need to be hidden. And next we have, let's see here. are calculated. So we can do that relatively easy. You can click, it doesn't really matter, you can click in any of these drop downs, and we'll do create calculated field. It's going to populate what's the title and then what's the syntax. So this is where I went and just put this on a notepad to make it a little easier and expedite it. So Control C, and then just Control C, Control V, and click out of it. And it's doing a quick check to make sure the calculation is valid, which it is. Okay. Okay. So that's our first one. Now we'll do the discount. And these are going to populate, and when we open up our panel, or our pane, excuse me, within the sheet, when we get outside of the data source, you're going to see these populate. So let's do another create calculated field. Let's do the discount. And copy our syntax. Now, again, another quick check. Okay, so what's going on here? It's pulling this currency, and what we're getting into, well, the first one was a conversion, right? And once we basically pull a currency into US dollar, which there's a field for that, and then it applies a discount. Okay. Again, just dropping these calculations in. For this particular module, this is probably the most time consuming. Like I said, I did this to help hopefully expedite it. Okay. We're calling right here revenue, which we calculated this field already. This is in the, as I pointed out to you at the very beginning, you always have to have brackets whenever we're going to subtract off different fields from each other. These are all calculated, right? So, all right. You could do apply, click OK. It doesn't really matter for this. Control C for the gross profit. Almost done, folks. We're doing this because we're going to build out and use this file later. You won't really, per se, use all these calculated fields as we go through it, for those of you that have not completed this pre-work, right? You'll see it more in your exercises and the deliverables to come. Almost create calculated. And lastly, the end is basically telling essentially this is light programming to end the command, right? So last one. All right. You just click out of it. You don't have to really click anything on it when it populates like that. And the calculation is valid. All right. So we've now, minimize that. Let's maximize here. We've went through the calculation part, right? So we just completed page 2. And so now we've got these values. And where we really see them, they're denoted here with this equal hashtag. Okay. We can also tell right here, here's all we're calculated in the pane. Okay. All right. Going back though, one thing that we need to do, and we could do it out of the pane, but we'll do it here. Okay. Just the way that my screen is being projected. Let's do this. Here we go. We needed our city, right? So here's our, and they're already been populated. It must have recognized. Okay, if it hadn't have recognized, we would want to make sure to come over here and change. Move the picture. Here's the thing, there's a picture in the corner, right? Let's do this. Geographic role, it's already got the county. We'll do this on our front end now. Okay, so we've already got the state. Let's go ahead and get the location, right? And that should be geographic role city. Cool. And I shared with you all, whenever we potentially are seeing a mismatch, we're not seeing our data populate, it means something's off, right? So we need to go back and troubleshoot just to make sure, because we should start seeing data populate here. Customer to customer, right? So that's right. We come up here, sales organization, sales org. That one's correct. Let's look over here to material. Product to material. There we go. So that was a fix. The good thing is we got it caught, but I'm kind of glad it happened. That way you can see what happens if we get one thing off when these things aren't matching up. Okay. And essentially what was called product in the sales transaction versus what was called material in this particular Excel spreadsheet, they're one and the same, but that's the way we match them. All right. So moving on, we've got our geographics. We can go back over here. As I showed you on Wednesday, if we come over here to, because we already coded these out to geographics, and we also coded out the location as a city. We'll change the name of it here in a little bit. What's kind of cool, if you want to just kind of play around with the data, we can use our calculated field here, revenue, right? And we can do show me, and this right here turns on our map. So if we want to kind of look at revenue, right? And we can turn the size up. Obviously, this is a little bit beyond your, but it's more for just playing with it. That's the thing with Tableau, just playing with the data, just kind of get a feel for it, right? So kind of having some fun with it. As I shared with you, the quickest way to kind of remove these fields or just drag or drop them off. Or you can remove, right? All right. So speaking of, I'm a big fan of using the search toolbar within the pane, the data pane. Okay. So we need to change we're going to create hierarchies kind of in the last part of this. It's on page 4. But let's change the location to city. So let's go location. Okay. And let's rename this to city. Because that's what it is. Okay. All right. Moving on. And we're almost finished with this module. And we'll get ready for 4. So we're going to create some hierarchies, and that will wrap up this part. So how do we do that? Well, first off, if you go into the instructions, it says we need to create let's see here, org, right? So first off, we need, pull it up for you. I don't think I've deleted it off, so we're all tracking together. Just for showing where I'm at. We're going to create our hierarchy, not too complicated. And first off, what we're going to do is for customer organization, so it will include sales org, okay, and customer name. And what are we going to call this? So we're going to create the hierarchy off of these 2 particular fields, and we're going to call it, okay, customer org. So we're going to create a hierarchy called customer org. So let's do that. So first, it says in the data pane, find a customer description. So let's do that. Here's a customer description. And all we do is kind of come over here and let's look for hierarchy. Since we don't have one established yet, we're going to create one. So create a hierarchy. And the instructions were to call it org, customer org. We add part of the instructions also. We're going to add one more. And we're going to look for the org description. Okay. Add a hierarchy. Customer org. Okay, so that takes care of this hierarchy, which is not too complicated, right? So says the geocodes that already exist, which they're already starting to populate. You can't see them now. We need to add our city to that geocode hierarchy. Okay, so let's do that. And we just have two more hierarchies that we'll add as we build this out. Okay. Let's go to location. City. Sorry, change the name. City. We're going to add this to a hierarchy. And it's already populated right here. So now, oops. If we come down, we can see, here's our, and we can change this name, but it's showing at least all three of these are in a hierarchy system, right? Because that's towards the end of this particular one. All right, it says at the very last part of this module, repeat the creation of hierarchy for the following, which we've already done for, let's change this. And we'll call it location. All right. And let's see here. Lastly, so we need to create a hierarchy for product, and then we'll create one for sales area. And then this one's finished. All right, so here we go. First off, let's go product category. Again, searching product category. Create a category or hierarchy, excuse me. And this one is product. Next is material group. There. Add to product. Last product. Okay, so it takes care of that hierarchy, and we got one last one. We'll call this a sales area. So let's go to distribution channel. And then last one, sales organization. Either one of these would work because they're tied in together. So we'll, it really doesn't matter. So, and so now we've built the hierarchies, right? And so we're almost finished, and then we'll have module 4 done. So I'll adjourn at this point and be right back. Thanks.